Hey fam, what's good? What's good? I hope this show well and keeping safe. Welcome back to another one. So without wasting your time, let's tap into this beautiful pay, right? So today we're gonna find ourselves doing like a little bit of a, a review of where price is currently. If you haven't found yourself watching our weekly breakdown, please make sure to go check it out. Right, I did find myself uploading it 2 days ago, right, on Sunday, and the title is basically should we go long on the Nasdaq, right? And we basically had our points of interest. And one point of interest or one option was this one right over there. And the second one was basically this one, right? And this right there was our outlook. This was our point of interest, which we found ourselves having. And basically going to our actual charts right over here, right? If I maybe can go to the Nasdaq, we can simply see that on the Nasdaq, we did find ourselves having the tap within our trend line, and we had a beautiful shift back towards the upside, right? So the next question is, what is next, right? What is next? Now we do know that we have a few influences, right, such as a DXY, which is inverse correlated with the Nasdaq, right, as well as we do have the VIX as well, right? We also find ourselves doing a content based off that, so make sure to go check that out as well, right? Now on the VIX, right, we had this huge shift towards the upside right over there over the course of Monday, right? And that was the reasoning to why we had a beautiful dump on the Nasdaq, right? And we basically find ourselves boxing out this inversion fair value gap right over there, and we can see from that inversion fair value gap, price did find itself having a beautiful shift back towards the downside, right? Now with price basically having the shift back to the downside, this simply means that there is a high possibility for the Nasdaq to find itself having a push to the upside as well, right? There is a high possibility for the Nasdaq finding itself doing just that. So we can basically see that we also do have a little bit of an initial order block coming through right over there as well, right? So can we potentially find ourselves coming all the way back down to have a further continuation move back towards the upside? Maybe, you know what, there is a high possibility for price basically doing that, right? So if I can also find myself maybe just going to my DXY, which is also inverse correlated with the Nasdaq, right? On the DXY, we can see that we did find ourselves having a beautiful shift back towards the downside over the course of these 2 weeks. And what do we know about the Nasdaq? The Nasdaq also found itself having a push back towards the downside as well, right? Now I do know that you may be like, what are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? That I'm basically looking at it as this current bullish momentum which we are having on the Nasdaq, right, is simply a you know what we find ourselves doing over here on the DXY, right? The Nasdaq is basically finding itself, I want to say, following up, if that is the word, right? Nasdaq didn't find itself having the bullish momentum when the DXY had to shift back towards the downside, so the Nasdaq need to find itself catching up, right? I think that is a better word, catching up, right? So the Nasdaq is basically finding itself catching up. So the DXY find itself taking out liquidity right over there, right? And we can see that we are currently having a beautiful shift back towards the upside. Another point of interest will basically be this fair value gap which we find ourselves creating right over there, right? But if we can basically see the DXY have a beautiful push towards the upside back into this order block right over there, that will be great, because that will simply mean that, you know what, there is a higher possibility that, you know what, this can also fuel the Nasdaq to find itself potentially having that further dip back towards the downside, right? So this over here, I'm basically looking at it as, you know what, we can still find ourselves having that push back towards the downside, right? So I'm looking at this as a potential correction, which price is currently doing, for a potential further continuation move back towards the downside, right? That is just my thought process, right? That is just what I'm finding myself having in the back of my mind, right? However, we can see that we did have a beautiful point of interest coming through right over there. We did find ourselves tapping within the actual fair value gap. We can see that we are having a beautiful shift back towards the upside, right? If price can find itself having a beautiful bullish closure, right, giving us that beautiful hammer, this will simply mean that there's still a high possibility for us then having that pushback towards the upside. Is that something that I do want to see? Yes, that is something that I do want to see, right, at least back into a 50% retracement, at least saying that, you know what, back into a premium area for a potential shift back towards the downside, right? That is just simply what I have my eye out on. Some may say that we are going to find ourselves having the further push towards the upside back into those all-time highs. You know what, by all means, that's your analysis, stick with it. You know, this is just me simply sharing my thought processes. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. If I'm right, cool, you know. So yeah, you know, scaling to the daily time frame. Now, on the daily time frame, we find ourselves creating this beautiful gap with the market open. So if we can basically see a closure above this gap, that would be great. You know what? Then we can simply see price hit all the way back up, back into another point of interest, which we basically find ourselves having, right? Because one thing we also need to keep in mind is that, you know what, we are really, really close to a premium area right over there, right? So as long as we are going to find ourselves remaining bullish in structure, right, we can simply see that price did find itself having a beautiful shift to the upside, a little bit of a correction, and now we are finding ourselves having a beautiful shift back up. As long as price can find itself remaining quite bullish, right, basically just giving that beautiful higher high. This over here I won't consider as being a higher high just of yet, right? But if we can see a beautiful closure above this area, I would then consider that as basically being my higher high, right? And that will simply mean that there is a high possibility for us then heading all the way up back into our point of interest. However, right, if we are going to find ourselves fluctuating inside this area, maybe just fill up the gap, I will then just simply wait for some sort of a change in market structure on the lower time frame to find myself basically looking for some beautiful shorts back to the downside, right? But at this current point, I do still want to see price have some sort of an actual shift back towards the upside, right? Simply because I'm just trading price action, right? I'm simply trading price action. If we are bullish, I'm just simply going to move with the bull run. And can we see that we are currently changing market structure? Yes, we can simply see that we are finding ourselves changing market structure if we are going to go to a lower time frame, such as the 1 hourly time frame. As we can see that we did find ourselves creating that beautiful high, lower high, to us basically creating that beautiful higher high as well, right? And if you are going to find yourself looking at our entry model, right, we can simply see that price did find itself creating a beautiful breaker as well right over there. If I maybe can point that out just like that, a beautiful breaker right over there. Price came back for the retest, and currently we can see that we are having a beautiful shift back towards the upside. So if I can maybe get up my FIB from that low to that high, which we find ourselves creating right over there, you know what, we can see that our -2 area is almost lining up with our point of interest. So I would actually like to see some bullish momentum on this beautiful pair called the Nasdaq, you know what, before looking for some short opportunities, right? And that is just simply my thought process, fam. Listen, let me know, what is your thought process? Are you still bullish on the Nasdaq, or are you going to find yourself looking for some beautiful shorts after price have found itself closing up this gap right over there? Let me know. I'm curious to know. It's me, your boy D. I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. I'm out.